This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon.
Welcome to Duffle LO to Sit Down, and we're still on the China videos, and we're still talking about Evergrande. So now in the last video, I told you guys how Evergrande was basically ordered to destroy 39 buildings in a Chinese resort, right? That they was building for the last 6 years that they put 13 billion into. But remember in the other video when I talked about Evergrande, they got the money that the worst bank ended up giving them all this money and all that stuff. And then the bubble is bursting because they can't pay their loans and all this and all that. Let me show you where a lot of the money in China is really going. This is fascinating. Let me show you. I got to show y'all this. Show you my screen. Look at this. Look at that. Y'all see that? What do that say? And man, you peep the year though. June 26, 2018. It's almost 4 years ago. In 5 months, this will be 4 years ago. Look at what this is. China's eerie ghost cities, a symptom of the country's economic troubles and housing bubble. That's from 2018. So if they knew that it was a housing bubble in China 4 years ago, why nobody tried to fix this 3 years ago? Now we getting ready to come into a crisis because of this. But y'all already knew about the problem. So why nobody never fixed the problem? So shout out to The World by Tracy Shelton, Christina Zhao, and Ning Pan. Because let's get into this. Why are there dozens of ghost cities in China? Dozens. Look at this. The video is no longer, this is a whole city. Look, they got a whole, that look like a baseball arena. They got all these buildings and the whole time. Don't nobody live in there. Nobody lived there. Let's get into the article, man. Fancy villas, high-rise apartment blocks, lakes, parks, and sprawling road networks. Ghost cities in China have it all. Just one crucial element is missing. The people. Look at that. The people. One crucial element. They got all this and they ain't got nobody enough. That's the crucial element. Y'all got all this. This stuff is built and nobody is enough. I told you this is 29% of their GDP. So they building all this property, but it's just there. Nobody's even living in there. What are they waiting on? What are they waiting on? So let's look at the key points. There may be as many as 64 million empty apartments in China. Many people buy the properties as an investment with no intention of ever moving in. Author says ghost cities show growth is driven by debt in China. So they studying all this debt, taking on all this debt, like they just said about Evergrande in the last video. So this ain't got 100% to do with Evergrande, but I'm pretty sure they might mention Evergrande in this because they're a big developer. But as you can see, the growth is driven by debt. They keep on taking all of on this debt, and then they building these properties, but they building cities and nobody is living in them. Evergrande in the last video just was forced to demolish 39 buildings. Like, let's get back into it. Built for a population that never came, about 50 of these surreal sites lay desolate across the country, but still the construction continues. So they still building, even though ain't nobody living in them. Nobody living there, but they still building them. These new cities are usually built in rural areas on the outskirts of existing cities, designed for populations numbering in the hundreds of thousands. The mass construction projects can include towering high-rise condominiums, huge shopping centers, city squares, street lights, and replicas of cities in Europe and elsewhere. This what I want to focus on. Let's say this right here. Who gonna shop if ain't nobody living there? Why you got a shopping center there if ain't nobody there? I understand you anticipating people to move in, but why ain't nobody moving in either? Now they said the cities is designed for number in the public of hundreds of thousands. That's like a city where I live in. It's 175,000 people in this city. That's an okay number. I come from a big city where there's 3 million people in the city, but 175,000, that's not so small. So but they got 64 million empty apartments. Look at 64 million. That's a lot of people. So if it's 64 million apartments but 100,000 in the population, I get out my trusty calculator. Get out my trusty calculator. And I'm going to take, let's do 150,000. 64 million. And we go right there, 64 million. And we're going to divide that by 150,000. That means they'll have that many cities empty. 426 empty cities. That's what they'll have. This is crazy. Denny McMahon, author of China's Great Wall of Debt, explained the driving force behind the new construction projects, seemingly built for no one. You see this? The Yishan Eiffel is one of at least 3 replica Eiffel Towers in China. Look how big that is. But don't nobody live there. Don't nobody live there though. And how long have these cities been just sitting there? Since this from 2018, how long have these type of cities just been sitting there? The phenomenon very much has been driven by the debt splurge that really kicked into gear after the global financial crisis. So because money was so cheap and the interest rate was at 0, everybody was just buying, they was borrowing all this money and they was just buying the real estate. So that's what ended up happening. But let's get a little deep into it. This seemingly wasteful construction is carried out by both state-owned firms and private companies. So it must be can't say a population boom that they expected, because China has a huge population where some people can, start going into these cities to relieve some of the pressure from the other cities. But for some reason, they're not going into them. I don't get it. I don't know. Private property developers will build housing in places that end up being ghost cities because they believe in the ability of the Chinese property market to only go up, up, and up. So they building these entire cities just to hold the equity in it. Nobody living in them, but just to hold the equity in it. And they call them ghost cities. Like, you know how long it takes to build all this? And nobody it's being built for nobody to live there. Like, why? Like, why waste the space? I don't understand. 64 million empty apartments. Look at that. Beautiful. That's beautiful. Many people have bought ghost city properties as an investment with no intention of ever moving in. China's housing vacancy rates, like many other potentially sensitive data, is shrouded in secrecy. So they ain't even trying to tell y'all how many people living or ain't living in them. It is believed the number of empty apartments could have hit as many as 64.5 million. The number of properties that State Grid Corporation of China confirmed to the Beijing Morning Post as not having used electricity for 6 consecutive months in 2010. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. So these ghost cities been sitting for a while. So, they started building these cities like 2000, 2005 or something. For them to have been sitting that long, and they ain't used electricity for 6 months. However, the state-owned company refuted that number to another Chinese media outlet just days before. What the hell? Let me start it over. However, the state-owned company refuted that number to another Chinese media outlet I don't know. Oh, they refuted that number to another Chinese media outlet just days later. Like, no. That's not it. But not all ghost cities stay ghost cities. Ghost cities of China, Arthur Wade Shepard, who has been documenting the existence of ghost cities since he first stumbled across a sprawling vacant metropolis in 2006. Lord, this super forever ago. Sees these cities as simply in a phase between construction and inhabitability. China's property boom. Buying an apartment is proven more expensive in China's main cities than Sydney and Melbourne, which is bad news for young people who are expected to own property before they marry. This is crazy. He stumbled across a sprawling vacant metropolis in 2006. Now I'm gonna go ahead, usher this in real quick and say this, because I stumbled across something like that similar in Iowa. Not a metropolis, but it's definitely some neighborhoods, I would say, small neighborhoods, probably maybe 15, 20 houses, a few apartment buildings, not apartment complexes, but apartment buildings, side by side condos, also some duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes as well. And it's like it's not a ghost town, but barely anybody live over there. So this is interesting that he stumbled upon that. A lot of these cities that got their start in 2000, 2003, they are pretty much developed. If you go there now, you would not know they were a new city. Mr. Shepard said, citing a number of examples, including some of China's most economically viable cities. So it's 2022. These cities been built 22 years ago. It ain't nobody lived in them, and then they wonder why is a crisis coming, and they wonder why Evergrande defaulting on their loans. Like why y'all study building this? Is y'all building this for a population boom? Is y'all building this for a reason? Is these resort cities are these cities being built for tourists? I just want to know. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you look around, you would think this is a normal city and just assume this is the way it always was, not knowing that 10 years ago, people were calling it a ghost city. 20 years ago, it was just apartments and villages. So they literally build these cities and just leave them there. They just sitting out. There are huge volumes of apartments being built in many Chinese cities, including Shanghai. Mr. Shepard said the same kind of construction phase had been seen throughout global history when developed nations first expanded, just not on the same excessive scale as in China. They build more than anybody else, more extensively than anybody else, and they have more of an extensive master plan than pretty much any power, empire, or kingdom in history ever had, Mr. Shepard said. So they not building this for nothing. They don't have these cities just sitting up for nothing, and they are replicas and mimics of other cities. If you understand Vegas, Vegas got New York, Vegas got Egypt, Vegas got Paris, Vegas got all that stuff, but it's all compacted. They got whole cities. And this is a play. This is a long-term play. This has to be a long-term play. But we gotta let time go by to see what plays out. He hails China's new big city movement as a great success that gives backwater cities the potential to develop and expand. Unlike many cities across the globe where populations constantly outgrow the infrastructure, leaving city planners to find new ways of dealing with traffic jams and demand for more construction space, China is usually one step ahead. Okay, so once this city becomes congested, rather than we trying to refigure and configure some stuff and got to do something with the infrastructure, and you know what? We just gonna have to start moving people into this new city. That new city, y'all. Some of y'all start going that way because we ain't finna change this. As one Chinese city mayor said, it was like buying a suit a few sizes too big for a growing boy. That's smart. That's how we used to do when we was younger. We'd buy our clothes too big, and then we'll grow into them. So that way, you had an outfit for a longer time. So I get what they're doing. Location is where it was just never going to work. Look at that. Look at this. Tim Murray said many of China's most prosperous cities have been created in this way, including Shenzhen. Beautiful. Consultancy from J Capital Research has made it its mission to document every ghost city in China, opening a website to show just how much empty property there is across the country. Managing partner Tim Murray said many of China's most prosperous cities have been created in this way, including Shenzhen, which borders Hong Kong and is now China's fourth largest city. See, that's it right here. That's the answer. That's the answer. China's most prosperous cities have been created in this way, including Shenzhen, which borders Hong Kong and is now China's fourth largest city. So they creating it for the future. They're not creating it for just to be building it for nothing. They creating it so when it's time to house people over there, they don't have to start scrambling to build. It's already built. So they building something for when it's time. It's anything you need over there. You got your shopping malls, you got your high rises, you got your trains, your buses. Just build it and the people will come. That's what they're doing. So I get it now. This is an example of classic design urbanization going really well, he said. Another example is the Pudong New area of Shanghai, which was once a swamp across the river from the main city. I was working in Shanghai when that was still a dream, and I used to look at it and think these guys are nuts, just building so much and nobody is going to use it. He said I was wrong. It's just been so successful. So they build like this. The Pudong New area of Shanghai was once a swamp across the river from the main. Look at this, was once a swamp. Look at that. Look at that. They got cities over there built like this, just waiting on people to. Oh my God, that's what you intelligent. They building it ahead of time, so that way when it's time, they don't have to rush because it's already there. And all their cities been built like that. Once they start seeing their population gonna get ready to move, okay, let's start building this. So as soon as by the time in 10 years they hit that, everybody just starts shifting that way. I like that. But Mr. Murray said these examples were the exception, not the rule. This has been replicated now so many times all around the country in locations where it was just never going to work, where it wasn't a good idea, he said. Industry jump-started the Ghost City overnight. Hail the new big city movement as a great success. Mr. McMahon said whether a ghost city became inhabited or not depends on its ability to create jobs, industrial growth, okay? In the case of Xingdong and Xingzhou, capital of China, of central China's Henan province, Mr. McMahon said the government threw tens of millions of dollars in incentives to Foxconn, the Taiwanese maker of Apple's iPhones, so the company agreed to open a factory in the town. Ooh. You see that? They threw tens of millions of dollars in incentives to Foxconn, the Taiwanese maker of Apple's iPhones, so the company agreed to open a factory in the town. Watch this. I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna just show y'all the article, but I ain't gonna just look at this. Read what that say. Apple's Tim Cook signed $275 billion deal with Chinese officials to placate China. The information. It's coming, y'all. So y'all, I'm putting it together. I'm putting it together. Most Chinese ghost cities don't have the resources, or they don't have the pool of a major city like Xinjiang does, he said. So the idea that these places are going to fill up is an absolute dream, because more often than not, they're built in places that migrants don't want to move, largely because the opportunities aren't there. In Jingjing New City, a luxury resort town 110 kilometers from Beijing, a high-speed railway line provides hope for a similar jumpstart. There are currently only a few small shops, so most homeowners only visit during the holidays on weekends. Ms. Fan, who works in Jingjing's New City real estate, said, the rail line to Beijing is set to open next year, but new regulations have now restricted the purchase of villas and apartments in Jingjing New City to local residents, shutting out residents of Beijing, who Ms. Fan said made up 70 to 80% of her buyers. It's very difficult to sell now, she said. There are customers who are interested, but they can't buy it. So okay. They build in the areas, they need to get the jobs done. Okay, so the city is already built, but it need its own economy. Oh, I gotta make another video, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all why. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. So if y'all want to skip, because I'm gonna do that after I do this last video. As you can see, I got a lot of videos to go. I have to talk about the digital yuan. And I got to talk about that right now real fast. Because think about this. If they already are building these cities and there's no economy there, they're building the cities because they're gonna be their own economy hub. This city is gonna be this city. So this is why the digital yuan has been, oh my God, they rolled out the digital yuan for a reason. These people is, like I said, they in 2080, y'all. They is gone. While other ghost cities may be largely empty, the apartments were mostly sold, Mr. McMahon said. Many people buy the property for investment with no intention of ever moving in, so supply significantly outweighed demand. And this speaks to the underlying problem of the Chinese economy, the importance of the property market, and the extent to which it's actually a bubble popping up prices, he said. It's incredibly difficult to measure, and it's incredibly difficult to say if and when things might actually go pear-shaped, because the government has done an incredible job at managing prices and ensuring the whole thing doesn't fall apart. So the government is behind this, making sure, like, hey, look, these ghost cities and all that, but hey, we know what we get ready to do. So we're gonna go ahead and keep them right there and do our thing. Mr. McMahon said he believed ghost cities were a symptom of the problem of how the Chinese economy worked, where growth was driven by debt. So you wonder why their real estate is worth 55 trillion, like I showed you guys in the other video. This is why, because they have these massive ghost cities. So they're counting that in their real estate numbers, although nobody lives there, but they still have to count it because it's worth something. And people are buying them knowing they never gonna live in them, because they thinking about it as an investment, because they want the property value to grow. Because if China becomes a world power and everybody wants some land or some property in China, they get to sell their investment at a gain. all property and all land in China is owned by the government. That's how they work over there. But when you buy the apartment, you don't buy the land, you buy that apartment. So you sell your apartment, you bought it for 20,000, and then you sell it in the future for 100,000. That's your 80,000. So you gain. But that's what people's doing. They know what's to come in the future. So they planning on that in all these cities. So they really gonna get money, like money. Everybody knows that the officials in Beijing know it and have been trying very aggressively to both wean the economy off debt and try to come up with a new driver of growth. Ms. McMahon believes ghost cities are, oh yeah, we were just saying that. Look at that. They beautiful. Officials in Beijing talk a lot about needing to move up the value chain into more technologically advanced industries, and that innovation is the way of the future for the Chinese economy. But at that moment, Beijing is really between a rock and a hard place because the economic growth is dependent on accumulation of debt used to build stuff, and is no longer sustainable without potentially something going very, very wrong, as per se the bubble that we in today. The bubble that we in today, 4 years later. So they got these cities already built. They cities already built. When they cities already built, they cities already built, and they got them built, and they ready to put people in them. They ready to put people in there. The city's already ready for anybody to move in whenever it's going to be time for them to move in. You have to understand that these people are so advanced that they got cities that's empty. So when a lot of people start to move or migrate to China, or they start taking people from certain areas and putting them into other areas, think about this. 5 cities. You got Cedar Rapids, Iowa City. You got Hiawatha. You got Marion, and you got Tiffin. Then 5 different cities. Even though they this close to each other, they own city. Each city has a different set of type of people that can live in that city. And each city got the poor, and each city got the rich, and each city got the middle class. So every city that they already got right there, depending on your wealth, you can go to that city, but you can't go to that city. Well, you in the middle, so you possibly could be in the middle class in this city, but you're gonna be poor in that city. Oh, you upper echelon middle class in this city, you're gonna be middle class over that. So they got it like that already, depending on the city. And then you see the technology. They already got an artificial moon, so they already gonna save on electricity like that. They got an artificial sun, so they getting solar power like that. They already got a electric rail already set in these cities that nobody has been there. And these cities have been being built since 2000. It's 2022. So if it's 2022 and they already got these cities is old. These ain't new up to date. These old cities. So how you think they new cities that people ain't even seen yet? That's probably a ghost town right now. How they look? Futuristic. You know they look futuristic. And I told you, they already got the digital yuan. They already made all the people in China that was mining Bitcoin stop. Bitcoin illegal. Every cryptocurrency in China is illegal, which we're going to get to. We walk into it. Trust me, all this is crazy because they going to have their digital yuan. You come to their country, you're going to have to get the digital yuan. You're going to have to get their wallet, and you're going to have to transfer your money into the digital yuan if you want to spend in their economy, because their economy only take the digital yuan. When I say they in 2080, they in 2080. They gone. We finna keep going up. I got too many videos up. Let's get ready to get to the next video. So like I said, prosper through adversity. Don't underestimate family, friends, lovers, enemies. Always look objective, no matter what a city, state, or country is in. Every hood is the same. If nobody told you that they love you today, I'm gonna tell you right now, because I love you guys, I bring you guys this information because I want you guys to prosper through this adversity that a lot of people is in. So like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. And if you want to, donate to the channel. All the links below. Look in the description. Buy a book or something. Help me get through law school, because I'm still in law school right now and I'm trying to work through this stuff. So that's all I gotta say for this video.
This video is for educational and entertainment use only. The views in this video do not necessarily represent the views or life of Marlon Dixon.